friends, and welcome to this episode of the Self-Improvement Project. This is definitely going to be one that is published instantly, so I hope that you enjoy the idea that as soon as this hits your ears, that it's probably as recent as it could be. We're obviously now in the nicest part of spring. It's the one where the days are longer, the weather is warmer, the sun is out more. Perhaps it's just because I'm in Scotland, but I saw a wonderful quote earlier that said, "Spring exists to remind us that everything can begin again." I always talk about hope when it comes to spring, and I think this is that idea of the beginning. We see the beginning of so many different things. Obviously, in nature, there's so much that starts, but it gives us this idea of resetting. I don't know if this coincides, but I always feel like significant changes in my life have happened around spring as well, when it comes to starting over, starting something new. Perhaps the stereotypical time of year is January, when it's a fresh year, but because you're in the midst of darkness, it sometimes feels that beyond the surface it's actually tough to maintain. Spring is definitely the time where we blossom, right? Sets us up for the year, sets us up for greatness for the year as well. I am thoroughly enjoying going deeper down into the layers of living fully. Some of my recent writings / musings in my Sunday Thoughts newsletter have been an absolute joy to write. I always feel as I'm writing them and as I'm in the flow of them that I'm only scratching the surface, yet like anything when we're in the midst of it, it's tough to get back to that level after we stop. Yet the idea and the topic is all we need, right? So this idea around being admired for what we do, this concept that I'm sending on Sunday around asking ourselves the question of, does forever work when we're making big choices in our life? I.e., around the concept of infinity, which thinking infinitely has been a very common theme over the years, yet the layers that we're now getting to, because I've talked about it, I have different perspective. I'm able to maybe talk in more depth, yet more simply about it as well. I would love to hear from you about what living fully means to you, even if it's not something that I directly resonate with. You could unlock or ignite or spark a thought that could lead us to the next avenue or the next branch of living fully as well. I feel like living fully seems to encapsulate simplicity. There's so much going on in the world right now. I mean, anyone could say that at any moment in time, but when everything's getting thrown at you, left, right, and centre for your attention, the special ingredient that seems to allow us to live more fully is when we are able to ignore and switch off and filter the things that make our lives better. Taking ourselves out of certain scenarios, certain ways of being that actually allow us to focus fully on the great things in our life. Perhaps eliminating the things that make us unhappy actually make us happier than striving for things and adding on top of our life to try and find happiness. I talked about being adored and admired a few weeks ago from a virtue perspective. And I am of the belief that more of us are less virtuous than are. When we are not as virtuous as we could be, we miss out. Yet if we are over virtuous, we become deluded. We become a narcissist. We think it's all about us. We play up to the expectations of being virtuous. Yet that happy medium is a wonderful state of being. Knowing that you have this unshakable peace that exists, that nobody can touch. You have that complete trust and peace of mind that you're living the way that you want to, and you don't need to tell anybody about it, but it's a wonderful way to be. You trust that even if you've made mistakes, you've done the wrong thing, you've made the wrong decision at a certain time, that it actually serves you. It serves your life, it serves who you're going to be, and you wouldn't have it any other way. It's what makes life so interesting. It, again, leads back to, and nobody ever needs to tell you this, right? They rarely do anyway. And even if they do, it won't have the same impact as just knowing that it exists anyway. But being admired for the way that you live is a wonderful thing. The things that you do, the things that you choose to do, the sacrifices you make to live a certain way, to serve, and not for status either, even though some people do that same thing for status. Knowing that you're not. Knowing that if you were known for it through status, that wouldn't even bother you. That wouldn't even matter. You would still turn up and do it, right? This is where I go back to this idea of eliminating the ways that we view things. Our perception and our perspective. For example, if there's something that you do right now that you enjoy, could be a sport, could be music, could be just art in general, could be work, could be relationships, could be something else socially. But there's a reason that you love it. And sometimes that reason can get lost in amongst the noise that is created as you do it for longer, as you do it more. Maybe you're good at it and people are recognizing it. But the only thing that truly matters is that you enjoy it for what it is. There is no one nor nothing that can shift you on that. Like I say, you're unshakable with how you turn up for this. I'm not saying that you'll be immune to lacking motivation nor the highs that come with the pride of doing it as well, but just knowing that you doing it and turning up, doing your best, knowing that you might not be the best, but knowing that it's the best thing for you, that people will be aware of it. People will know, respect, admire the time that you've put in. There's nothing else to it. There's no pot of gold at the end of the rainbow with this. It's not for the recognition. It's not for the accolade. It is simply for living fully. This is why asking the question about thinking infinitely goes hand in hand with being admired. You're doing this forever, so you're going to be admired. the ones that end up getting distracted or derailed, going off the path when things maybe change. Those are not the ones that are admired. Those are the ones that got lost. Those are the ones that maybe regret. They wish that they had just done it for the love of it. Why they did it in the first place. These cliches and common anecdotes are there for a reason. They're from regret of those that have not walked the path that they ultimately wanted to. Getting distracted, getting misled at certain points. All of these things, these negative things that can happen, these are the things that remove your opportunity to live as full as you can. There's never been a better time to live fully, with all the choice. Even right now, as I'm talking to you, I've literally just sat down, plugged in a microphone, hit record, and then I'm going to hit publish on the internet. That is all I need to do to turn up and do something that matters to me. I get to share it with the world. I was reading through the comments of this podcast just before, just to remind myself of why I do it. And there are so many of you that are not sharing your work. And I bet you're good. There is so much joy through sharing your work, sharing what you're passionate about. Even if you're at the beginning or you don't feel like you're good, one of the best things about turning up and doing these things is how much better you get at it, how much you improve. Just from having that skin in the game, turning up and doing it, right? And everything that I've talked about with Living Fully is a part of this. You would be admired for sharing your work. You would still do it forever if anything changed. Nothing would be able to remove you from turning up to do this work. Guys, I'm going to close there. I'm going to pause, because I hope that ends on a note of encouragement for you, of perhaps opening a door and encouraging you to walk through. There's never enough time in one's life to be able to share everything that they want to. And the same goes for this. If creatively there's something that you want to share, you want to do, you want to shout from the rooftops about it, no one's stopping you, but also no one's telling you to do it. This is that encouragement that you maybe need. And the whole reason that I'm telling you to is to come and join the party of living fully. I hope you enjoyed that today, guys. And if you want to share with me, you can obviously write to me. You can leave a comment. Otherwise, I hope you all have a great week, and I will see you all next time. Cheers.